Kashmir under Chaks from 1561 to 1586. The major events that shaped the future politics of Kashmir from 1480 to emergence of Chak dynasty in 1561 via appearance of Shamsuddin Iraqi in Kashmir in 1492 AD, who propagated Shia school of thought. Invasion of Kashmir in 1532 by Mirza Hyder Duglat, a Mughal mercenary. Factional rift between two powerful nobles, Malik Abdal from Magri family and Qazi Chak from Chak clan. The extreme factionalism among nobles of Kashmir has led to the situation where kings were being installed alternatively from the children of Shahmiri dynasty, especially between Muhammad Shah and Fatah Shah. They ruled as mere symbols, whereas the real power was exercised by the faction led by Abdal Magri or faction led by Ghazi Chak. While Muhammad Shah was installed as king 5 times, Fateh Shah became king 3 times. This standoff was finally put to an end in 1540 by Mirza Hyder Duglat, who first attacked in 1932, and nominally appointed Nazuk Shah as king of Kashmir, but took administration in his hands and brought peace to valley. Helped by Maghres and the people who were tired of Chak domination, Duglat occupied Srinagar in October 1540, placing Nazuk Shah on the throne. He carried on the administration in his name for a period of 11 years until 1551. During the 11 years of his reign, Mirza Hyder gave peace and orderly government to the kingdom. He opened schools and built several mosques in Srinagar, with hammams ensuring warm water to the faithful for ablution even during cold and frosty days of winter. However, he neglected Kashmiri nobles and bestowed power to only Mughals, resulting in his overthrow and death in 1551. He is buried at Mazar-e-Salatin, Srinagar. By this time, Chaks had become powerful with support of Salim Suri, son of Sher Shah Suri. Finally, they overthrew Habib Shah, the last symbol of Shahmiri dynasty, and made Ghazi Chak as the first ruler of Chak dynasty in 1561. Ghazi Chak ruled from 1561 to 63 and died of leprosy. He was a sectarian, and his rule made relations between Shias and Sunnis bitter. He was succeeded by Hussain Chak in 1563, who appointed Malik Muhammad Naji, a Sunni, as his prime minister. During the later period of his reign, the Shia-Sunni conflict has reached to the greater proportion, fermented by attack on a Sunni Maulvi Qazi Habib. This attracted greater interference in Kashmir from Mughal Darbar of Agra. Hussain Chak died on 1570. After Hussain Chak, Ali Khan ascended the throne under the title of Ali Shah in 1570 and ruled till 1578, imbued with the desire to end the senseless sectarian war among the followers of the two creeds. Ali Shah appointed Mubarak Behaki, a Sunni, as his prime minister. Ali Shah held the great Sunni saint Hamza Makhdumi alayhi rahma in great respect, as also the scholar diplomat Sheikh Yaqub Sarfi. However, a famine struck the valley in 1576 that remained for 3 years. He died in 1579 and was succeeded by his son Yusuf Shah Chak. The life of Yusuf Shah Chak, 1579 to 85, is as romantic as it is tragic. He was an accomplished scholar and a master of music. The natural beauties of Kashmir had so bewitched him that he would spend months in roaming on its beauteous mountains and flowery meadows. He transformed Gulmarg and Sonmarg into holiday resorts. He married a girl from Chandahar, Pampur, Zuni, later known as Habba Khatun. Meanwhile, Akbar, who was laying his claim on Kashmir because it had been conquered by Mirza Hyder Duglat in the name of Humayun, continued to take active interest in the political developments in the kingdom. He demanded that Yusuf Shah Chak should make personal appearance before Akbar 3 times from 1580 to 1585, though Yusuf Shah Chak avoided appearance by sending gifts and other excuses, but on December 20, 1585, a strong Mughal force of 5,000 horses under the command of Raja Bhagwan Das was sent to Kashmir. The Mughal forces met with stiff resistance led by his son Yaqub Shah Chak. However, during the war, Yusuf betrayed his military and surrendered before Mughal army and was taken to Akbar, where he was arrested. After 2.5 years, on the intervention of Raja Man Singh, he was released and granted a mansab of 500 horses and finally died in Bihar in September 1592. Yaqub Shah, who ruled for around 8 months, let loose terror on the Sunni population of Kashmir, resulting in resentment of majority population against his rule, thereby forcing the nobles of Kashmir under the leadership of an eminent theologian, poet and writer Sheikh Yaqub Sarfi to revolt. They invited Akbar to rule over Kashmir. An experienced and well-trained army under the command of Qasim Khan invaded Kashmir via the Pir Panjal Pass on October 1586. Guided by Haider Chak and Sheikh Yaqub Sarfi, the Mughal army met with little resistance. However, at Hirpora Shopian, Yaqub Chak offered some resistance, but having lost the confidence of his subjects, he had to flee, and on October 14, 1586, the Mughals entered Srinagar in triumph. Kashmir thenceforth became a province of the Mughal Empire, and the chapter of its long independent status came to a close.